Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from Arnie's. Happy birthday to you.
Our Arnie's birthday Zoom with a very special guest today, 64 years young, Rock Supan. The great, no matter what, Rock has a lot of claims to fame as a player, but one of the great names in the history of Purdue football. When you're called Rock, that's a pretty good thing. First of all, happy birthday to you. You're in the Detroit airport en route headed home to Houston, but happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. I appreciate it. Just another day in the life of of me, and I'm fortunate that I wake up every day. So I appreciate the compliment of a happy birthday.
What, when you have a name, tell us how you got the name Rock. That isn't your given name, I assume, but also that's the great, like I said, one of the great football names of all time. But tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, actually, that is my God-given name. That is my.
Okay.
I don't have a middle name, and I used to tease people that we were named after movie stars that my mother liked, because I have two brothers, Paul and Dean. So it's Paul Newman, Dean Martin, and Rock Hudson. But that wasn't the case. Okay. And the first time I told that story, I think I told that story at the Wisconsin game or after the game, and my mom read it and she was like, "That wasn't why we named you Rock." But I was supposed to be Mark.
Okay.
And there was a lot of Marks in the neighborhood at the time, and a couple of my mom's friends were expecting at the same time, and they had names Mark picked out. And the funny story is, my dad, who was playing cards with his buddies one night, they were talking about, guys were asking him, "What you going to name your son? What are you going to name your kid if it's a boy?" And he goes, "Well, we're going to name it Mark." And, "Hey, you can't name it Mark. You got to find out a different name." So I grew up Catholic. I'm still Catholic, and my family was pretty strict Catholics, and they were looking through a book of saints and everything, and there was a Saint Rock.
Oh, okay.
And for somehow they came up with Rock, and that's where everything started. So I guess I was lucky. I was given that name. I guess I've lived up to it to some degree.
You absolutely have.
I'm stubborn as a rock too. So
now I know you've already had birthday wishes this morning from teammates, Pete Quinn and others, and yet growing up in Parma, Ohio, I assume that's where you also grew up I know you played. That's where you were in high school. But what birthday traditions did you have as a young man? How did your brothers, sisters, family members, mom and dad, anything that you recall that were special or traditions you've had since on that birthday? June 1.
Well, we're a very close family, and we celebrate everyone's birthday, family, uncles, aunts, and things like that. So for me, and then June was right at the end of the school year.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I graduated, my graduation party was on my first birthday, and my June 1st, and I was having my first beer. Okay. Legally.
18, right? Yeah.
18. I was 18, and it was legal. My mom, my dad handed me a beer. "Here's your first beer," and my mom goes, "Yeah, legally."
Yeah.
So we won't say what we did before that, but yeah, we celebrated family birthdays, and we still do. In fact, I was just back home in Cleveland for our son's daughter's birthday, our granddaughter, who just turned 1 year old. So it was her first birthday. So thank God she's a Gemini, just like her papa. So
yeah. That is a great thing, and a great thing to spend Memorial Day weekend doing. All right, now I want to hear the story of how you got to Purdue. And I know I've heard you tell this before, but it's kind of, in terms of, it's always interesting how guys get recruited to West Lafayette. And obviously Alex Agassi's staff would have been the staff that would have done that, matriculating from Parma, Ohio, a hotbed of high school football, certainly in that area. But how did you land at Purdue?
Well, I was recruited by a lot of Big Ten teams, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana. Purdue was one of the last schools I heard from, but I wasn't recruited by Ohio State, and I was an Ohio State fan, and so to this day I tell people I'd stomp on Woody's grave,
Yeah.
and because he didn't recruit me. But
Yeah.
we were playing. We were number one in our high school. We were number one in the city of Cleveland. We beat a high-powered St. Ed's football team that had, I don't know if you recognize his name from Ohio State, Tom Cousineau.
Oh yeah, great linebacker.
He was a linebacker. Okay, well, he played for St. Ed's, and he was the star of St. Ed's team. All-state wrestler, all-state football player, and we just destroyed them to win our conference, to take the number one slot in the city of Cleveland my senior year. Well, there was Coach Katavolis's, George Katavolis's parents lived in Westlake, and they followed football in the Cleveland area. And they were big fans of St. Ed's and just good football. And they were at that game. And I guess they got, called George up and said, hey, you need to, check this guy out from Padua. And that's where it happened. So that's what Coach Katavolis did. I said, how did you, why did I hear so late from you? Well, we heard something from my mom and dad mentioned that you were somewhat of a pretty good football player. And that's what happened. So last school I visited was Purdue. I had a very good visit, and I thought, not only did I think it was a good school for me to play football at, that I think I had a chance to earn my way up into a starter, but also I'm going to get a pretty good education in the process. So that's what happened. And that was where I wanted to go to school, and I'm glad I did. It was some of the best 4 years of my life. So
3 years as a starter, 25 starts, I think, as I counted them up, free safety, strong safety, and you were in part of the junk defense, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but your claim to fame really in a lot of ways is something that kind of came about unexpected in your sophomore year. You're one of the few, I don't know if there really are any, I need to look this up, any kickers that have had 2 game-winning kicks last minute or fourth quarter game-winning kicks in the same season. Your first start against Wisconsin, an 18-16 win, you hit a field goal at the 2-minute mark. Then, of course, the game winner against Michigan against the number 1 Wolverines. Tell us the story. I mean, you were the backup. Scott Sovereen was the starting kicker, had injury problems that year. How did they just call you off the bench? I mean, how did you get into all that? You were a straightforward kicker as well, with one of those, I think you had a tie on your front foot as well. So
I had a little shoelace on the front cleat that I tied up. Well, I kicked in high school. I was our kicker, punter, also in high school. And but coming to Purdue, I wouldn't expect it to be a kicker. I never thought of it, never, expected anything of it. But I still kept my shoe in my locker. And I brought it with me. I always had it with me. And there were days we'd mess around at practice afterwards, and I'd bring the shoe out and kick. And so Coach Conteri was our special teams coach. Was our special teams coach. And one day he says, hey, Rock, he goes, you still got your shoe in your locker? I said, yeah, why? And he goes, just bring it out to practice tomorrow. We want to see if you can still kick. And I'm shaking my head like, what do you want me to? He goes, Scott's hurt. And, we're looking. I said, come on, there's walk-ons over there that are just kicking. You got 20 guys out there that are kicking. You got to find somebody else. I go, I can't kick anymore. He goes, just shut up and bring your shoe tomorrow. So, long story short, I kicked the ball on a kickoff further than I ever kicked the ball in my life. Okay. And everybody was like going, what the heck is going on here? So I started the season kicking off. Okay. And then Steve Schmidt, third string quarterback, he was a kicker, and he was doing all the extra points and field goals. And as the season was going on, in practice, since I had to practice extra points and field goals during that session, I'd always tease Coach. I go, Coach, when are you going to let me kick an extra point in a game? I said, I may never intercept a pass and, have a pick six. I said, but I can tell my grandchildren that I scored a point, for the Boilermakers. He goes, we'll see. Well, we were going to Wisconsin, and that's Scott was coming off his injury. And so it was just him and I as kickers. And the first extra point he kicked, I think he aggravated his hamstring that was hurting him. And the next time we had a chance we got stopped on a fourth and 8 or something. And we're looking at each other, Scott and I was always ready to kick if I had to, but I knew I wasn't going in, there was, and everybody's like, we're looking at each other, Scott and I, like, I don't know who he's going to put in. And he goes, my leg is really hurt. And he said, Coach Agassi came up, he goes, Rock, you think you could kick? I said, yeah, let's go. Well, so I go out in the field, and another funny story along with this is Paul Beery, who had a great game that game, 4 interceptions.
4 interceptions, right.
Who was my roommate, my travel roommate for all the games, and our strong safety. He's our holder. And so he's already out in the field with the rest of the team. I'm jogging out there, and he's looking at me like, what are you doing out here? Okay. I said, let's go. Come on. And he said a few words when he knelt down, getting ready to kick. He looks up at me and said a few words like, you better make this. I said, well, just don't give me strings and let's go. And luckily I made the kick, and then we ended up, having to kick again. I did miss a field goal in that game just before that everybody thought was good, and it was all no good, and had a chance to redeem myself. And from that point, I was kicking the rest of the year, field goals too. So, and just, lucky to be in the right place at the right time, And
that was like I said, your first start in the Wisconsin game. But the Michigan game, the #1 Wolverines, Purdue, a 4-touchdown underdog at home. You'd been beaten badly the weekend before at Michigan State. Nobody gave you a chance. You're lining up with 4 minutes to go in that game. And again, another relatively short field goal, but do you still have memories of that and what that was like? And then maybe what that celebration was like when you beat the Wolverines and Bo Schembechler?
Well, lining up, people go, were you nervous in that game or for that at that moment? I said, no, for me, because I was already in the game. I've been playing in the game. You're on the field. For me, it wasn't that nerve-wracking or whatever. I'm just doing the same thing I've done before. And this is just another play in the game, and let's go. And, after making it, there was jubilation, but we still knew there was 4 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. And it came pretty close, that, we could have lost that game very easily if they didn't miss their field goal.
Bob Wood, 39-yard field goal, right.
Yeah. And, I do remember, though, I was over the top. I guess I got over the top of the pile, the line, and I was up, and the ball went to the right of my right hand, which made it go left, and that's where he missed it. And I came inches from blocking it, and I don't think anybody remembers that. I wish I could see the film. I don't have any film of that game anywhere, and I do remember that. I was almost offsides because of it. I could have been the goat, really the real goat. Not the good goat. I could have been a bad goat in that game if I was offsides. But it just, afterwards, it was more exciting for the fans and everybody else, I think, of, winning that game and how much it meant to people and the alumni and everything else. For me, it was just, I was happy. I was, doing my goal and proud of myself for the game that I had. But, it's just nice to see everyone else to get to enjoy that kind of moment. And, after I graduated and came back to games and watching Drew Brees play, and man, I've been more excited at games now than I ever was as a player, when they beat Ohio State 3 years ago when I was at that game. It's like, wow, this is a better feeling than I ever felt, being a player. And it's just fun to come back. And, I've been so lucky to be a part of Purdue football, Purdue history. And I've got to enjoy a lot of good times through the years, and hopefully it continues on.
Yeah. And a sad day in Purdue history today, or Purdue sports, is the passing of Leon Burtnett, who was your position coach, your defensive coordinator, I guess, so to speak, and on the junk defense. You were part of two of the best defenses, or one of the best defenses in 1978 that Purdue ever had in your senior year. You had mentioned, as we talked offline, that he wasn't always the easiest guy to play for, but to give us your memories of Leon and also that defense. I would, in terms of how that all came to pass, and you had some great players on that defense with Keena Turner, Ken Lausch, and Calvin Clark. Yes, Rock Supan too, but this was a really good defense.
Oh, Calvin, Tina, Mike Marks, Kevin
Motz.
Was also from Cleveland. Rick Moss, Willie Harris, Wayne Smith. We had. It was a great team, but it's funny because when they first came into, when Jim Young took over in defense in that spring, I was told I was being switched from free safety to strong safety, and I was like, I was upset. I was kind of upset about it. I go, man, I had a really good year at free safety. That's where I felt my position was, and I'm like, even though it's still a safety position, I'm still. At first, it was like, why? But I might have thought about it as a free safety in 1976, which wasn't a good thing for our whole defense, but I had 98 tackles that year as a free safety, and I didn't start the first 3 or 4 games of the season.
Right.
I go, that's not very good. Free safety's not supposed to have that many tackles. And then maybe they thought, I was a better headhunter or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I felt I was, but
yes.
But Leon was a tough coach to play for because he demanded the best from us all the time. And, we always talked about, that coach that you didn't like, but, you loved him and respected him because he made you a better player and everybody around you a better player, and he made us a better team. And that's, I can't say, more about, what a great man he was, especially afterwards, keeping track of him, talking to him every once in a while. And it is a sad day for me because he was a really good guy.
It's interesting because he was known, at least in my sphere, and I was working in Purdue athletics in Leon's last couple of years as head coach, as more of a player's coach, but he was tough-minded. So what made him a tough guy to play for?
If you miss an assignment or made a mistake, he's drilling you. And I was not always the easiest guy to coach, even in high school. I was sometimes confrontational. I still am, I guess, but I would question sometimes things that we would do. Like, coach, how come we're running this play or running this defense? And you just play your position, and leave it at that. And in the end, it was the best. It was the right decision. But yeah, he just demanded perfection, from us, and we tried to get there.
Yeah, he loved his players, though. I mean, I know a lot of guys have had really good relationships in the state. Tried to stay in touch with him, and he modeled several coaching uniforms, so to speak, in his career. So he did a lot to be able to stay in touch with his guys.
I don't know how long he's going to be talking. So if you want to take this.
Yeah.
Tell us about, and lastly, tell us about what on a personal level, you're still working at the young age of 64. What's keeping you busy? What have you done professionally? And how do you stay out of trouble?
Well, I'm still working. Yes. Planning on retiring here in the next couple of years. It might be 1 or 3 years. I don't know. I moved down to Texas from Ohio 7 years ago to get close to retiring. We had some family down there. We went and visited. My wife loved it. I have a daughter that's down there who's a special ed teacher. She's married and has two babies. And my son is still up here in Ohio, and he's got 2 babies. So I've got 4 grandchildren that are split across. I own my own, own a restaurant, and for years I sold that, and then I got into excavating and lawn business and handyman business. So owned that for a while. Well, 7 years ago when I moved down to Texas, I said I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be. I just wanted to get a job somewhere where I just go in and do my thing and come home and enjoy my wife, enjoy my life, enjoy my grandkids. So I'm working for a school district in the maintenance area, and I like it. It's I work Monday through Friday. I'm home on the weekends. My wife and I can go out to dinner. We can go places. We still do. We still travel a lot, and I still play basketball. And I play with a bunch of people, friends of mine from the Medina area in Ohio.
Yeah,
we travel across the United States to play in tournaments, and we've traveled overseas to play. So 2 years ago this weekend, we were in Dublin, Ireland to play, and it was our first tournament that we won ever. And we played in tournaments for 15 years and couldn't win one.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't the best basketball players, but we were real good socializers and drinkers of beer. You know, so you know, but that's what it's all about. You know, being able to travel places with friends and enjoy. You know, and I referee basketball, I referee softball, baseball, volleyball. So when I retire, I'll probably do more reffing and keep doing things like that. So I stay pretty busy, thank God.
So are you a shooter, a defender? What is your role in that basketball team? I'm curious.
I'm a shooter, of course. You know, yeah, I would consider myself a shooter. You know, but I like playing defense. I get kidded from my friends that I play dirty. You know, I'm probably a Dennis Rodman type of defender. You know, but I've got Michael Jordan's touch. You know.
There you go. It was the perfect way.
You know, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, you know, I'm you know, we're slower and we don't run up and down the court at all. We walk fast or jog. I've had a hip replacement a few years ago, so that slowed me down a little bit, but I still play. So it's just fun, you know, to play. But yeah, when I get tired, you stand by the 3-point line and hope somebody passes you the ball.
Well, that is awesome at the age 64 to still be going up and down the court. So, Rock, thanks so much for your time. I hope you have safe travels. I hope you have a great rest of the day as well. Purdue fans remember you very well, and that's an important thing. I know that there's other important things in life. I get that, but it's still good to have that experience and what that means. And we'll look forward to you think you'll be able to get up here for a game this fall, or I mean,
I'm going to try this fall. Yeah, I'm going to try. I try to get up every year if we can, and I think I'm definitely going to try. Get up. I'm looking forward to the Northwestern game. That's going to be isn't that supposed to be in
Wrigley Field?
Wrigley Field. So that would be a nice place to come up and visit.
It'll be.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rock. I'm sorry.
I was just saying but it's always nice to try and get up at least once a year for a game and to see everybody. And you know, I try to do that. And it's just bad that we couldn't do it last year with COVID. Everything else that was going on, but I think we'll be back in the groove of at least getting up there once a year. So,
all right, Rock. Well, have safe travels. Have a great birthday, and hope it's a great celebration when you get home back to Texas. But thanks again. Travel safe, and thanks to Arni's also for your sponsorship of the Arni's Birthday Zoom.
All right, Alan, I appreciate it. Like I said, it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and be part of the Gold and Black, and and being able to say the word boiler up.
All right,
I'm proud to be a Boiler. Okay, and I thank you very much.